of the Scarpi-Picani, or known as Blackfoot Nation, right next to the Glacier National Park. Okay, and so the lullaby document. What's the?
Few people that are waiting.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah.
So you, probably you, and then accept.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, I think that's Delaney. What about Delaney? Is she in?
I think they're all in
Okay,
now.
good.
Yes.
Sorry.
No.
I'm glad you said that. I was looking for
Welcome.
that.
Okay, so this documentation project is a collaborative project that I did with the Picani Institute, co-founded by the late Daryl Kipp, and the institution is a research institution on Blackfoot culture and history, but also they established Emerging Language School in 1995. So Daryl was also co-founder of that school. And this is the building of the language school.
All right.
Okay, first two activated, right? So then the project was done in summer 2007 in Browning, Montana. Daryl introduced me to one of his researchers, Mr. Shirley Croshu from Nona Picani, or Abatosipicani. And she was a teacher, language teacher there at the Emerging School for a while, but that summer she was working as a researcher. So when I reached out to them, I would like to do the work with you guys, and I want to do what about a recording lullaby, and she was so interested in this idea, so we decided to do it together. Now, Daryl invited, there are more speakers back then who would come to the Picani Institute and do research or recording with Daryl Kipp and his workers or researchers. So they called around 10 people in the summertime who they were at home, and 6 speakers just participated in the project. So we did an interview with all 6 speakers who visited the institute, but 2 speakers among the 6 knew lullabies. So a total of 5 lullabies we got to record that summer. Then after that, what we did is a transcription. So the 2 transcriptions to it, when it's a music, songs, because if it's a language, it's a language transcription, but we also have melody transcription. So the first we did the lyrics word transcription, listening to the sound file many times. It's challenging because when the words sung, it's gonna be different. It sounds different from the sounds you usually hear in spoken language. So Charlene and I had delayed James Boyd to join us to help us. Shirley is a speaker too. Yeah, I forgot to tell you this. The main reason why I wanted to work with Shirley, so that she could interview speakers in Blackfoot. So I would step away because I do not speak. Still don't speak the language that well. So the recording interview can be done all in Blackfoot. Okay. But still, the elderly speaker can join us to help us finding out the exact words that are being sung. Then melody transcription is what I did myself. Fortunately, I have a little bit of music background, and so I was able to do that. But also, it is very important to work with specialists too. So I do collaborate with, I do consult. I get consultation from a musicologist from the music department in University of Montana. His name is James Randall. Okay, and then now I would like to share the lullabies that I got to record. Okay. But most importantly, I want to talk about, introduce you to the word for lullaby in Blackfoot. It is called Ihtaba'okirok. It's a longer word. Lullaby is longer because there are 5 parts to it. Okay, so linguists do analysis of the internal meaningful parts in the words too. The first one, it's instrumental. It's a tool, and its ongoing action is something to blow or settle people down. It's a causative, so make somebody do something, and done by someone who's unspecific. So rough translation would be a tool to settle them down. And hence, it's the lullaby that we say in English. Okay, the late Mr. James Boy were able to sing 2 different lullabies. Okay, so the first one I want to play, and I did share sound, so I hope the people in the Zoom room can hear too.
Kana skina ya kawa pinose kuni tonio kana skina ya kawa pinose kuni tonio kana skina ya kawa pinose kuni tonio
Did it make you sleepy?
No.
It's after lunch, so maybe. So you might have noticed there's a repetition going on, right? Repetitive tones help, right? The babies go to sleep. And the transcription or the translation we were able to do, the best we could do is this. Mouse blinks his eyes once. The reason why I say the best translation is because there's some expressions, so very rare. Not, I shouldn't say that. It's not familiar to the current speakers. Right? So then Shirley would say, this part just sounds like it's once, so it's just translated as a once for the purpose of a public presentation. But I do also record the important pieces of it. It is the best possible translation. We could make that part that we want. And the second song. So this one is also a repetition. Mr. James Boy repeated this one line 3 times, but he did say it just goes on and on and on. Probably till the baby goes to sleep. So the meaning here we have this. The coyote is in the end one thinking around westward. That's the best possible translation that we do. And there are 3 more, right? Out of 5 is given by the late Susie Whitecalf. And Miss Susie Whitecalf was at the nursing home at that time. So we were recording her in the lobby. So there are other visitors there, so you can hear the background noise. This is the first, number 3, but it's first of us with this song. So her case, she didn't know repeat. We didn't ask whether she would repeat it again. Translation is, elk, what are you eating? You're eating swamp grass. And but this piece has a really a mystery word, which is the kakotomaki right here. We have a translation as a swamp grass, but nobody I interviewed, including Susie, knew what this word means, what the elk is eating. So this is a guess she was making what elk eats. It's probably swamp grass. Right? But other native speakers I asked, they couldn't just figure out. But the interesting thing is also the professor Leon Hinton in Berkeley also writes about lullabies or old traditional songs sometimes include archaic form, because that might be dropped into, right? If that depends on how many generations are learning it from an ancient time, but the language keeps changing. Right? The modern time, maybe we are witnessing the modern gap between modern language and the ancient expressions. Right? So I'm not really surprised by people not knowing words. Sometimes, you know, the song that we know from traditional songs, we don't know what sort of things mean. Okay, then the next one. I don't know if you heard this, but in the background, so when we were doing the recording, Susie and me, Shirley, and also James Boyd came, like, joined us, and James was giggling a little bit around this point because he understood what she was singing about. So this is a translation. Coyote, run over here. This one does not want to sleep. You hide it. At that part, he was giggling. And so this sort of split is not uncommon cross-culturally. Some European German lullabies too also have some threats to this monster's gonna get you if you don't go to bed. Right? Okay. And then the last one I want to share is this one. Crow is flopping westward, it is flying. It's a translation or some sort of thing, similar thing, something similar. Crow doing this. It was hard to translate because the speakers can image what they're doing. They're doing this act. So what do you say? Okay, and flopping is the version that the speaker gave me, so it's a little different. Okay, those are the 5 songs.
Can I ask just a question?
Yes.
The ah-ho-ho, is that just kind of filler, or is there meaning to that?
Yes, those are called vocables. That means the syllables that doesn't have a meaning.
Oh, okay.
Right? So often you can find it in the power songs or war songs. Right? So it's a good question actually, because the reason why I chose lullaby recording, because you probably get words that we can identify. If we just ask for singers, please sing songs in plain Indians, they usually give you the songs that you don't have the words in that language. Because they could also transfer or give the song cross tribes, and they can understand using their hands talks too.
So it's like deck the halls with bells of folly, fa la 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 la.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next, so 5, you might think only 5, right? But it's not actually the bad number. It's actually a good number in comparison. So this is a third of number of songs that are recorded, Blackfoot songs, right? Given and published in, it was included in the publication written by Bruno Nero, ethnomusicologist, 1989, right? So before that, so from late 1800s to late 1900s, across all the documenters or the musicologists, he identified 1,323 songs recorded, right? on different archives too. Now then, just one category here, which is children's game songs and lullabies that counts that. But it's game songs and lullabies, I just want to know how many of that. Lullabies, and I contacted Bruno Nero, and he said, he didn't remember quite, but he said 3 out of 10 might have been lullabies. So the 3 lullabies in a century of recording history versus 5 in one summer. So I think added more in terms of recording. I know there are more songs happening at their homes. But as I mentioned, not all speakers do remember, right, or know or have experience learning lullabies. And because it is to do with experience, right? And maybe in the Western culture, we know a form of lullaby because of education. Sometimes in school, teaching, right? But the lullaby should be something that stays at home. And that's another reason you should have a words in it, right? Okay, then I want to switch gear a little bit to talk about role of lullaby documentation in the context of language revitalization. And there are many things we can talk about, but I'm going to talk about community impacts and focusing on pedagogical impacts. Okay. So then, who are impacted? There are 3: infants, older siblings, and singers. There are many other candidates, but I'm going to talk about 3 today. So impacts on infants. Infants, babies, they don't speak the language, but you don't want to underestimate the power of their brain, what's going on, right? Because that's the time the language acquisition or sound acquisition is actually happening. Based on many child language acquisition studies, right? This is just one of a charts. Okay. So this is what happens in 2 years of the first 2 years of a person's human's life. So the baby, right? 0 to 21, so 24, so 2 years. Okay. But the very important part here is the first year. Okay. And because the first 6 years, they are taking we all have done too, with the language we hear, taking a stat about sounds, speech sounds, which speech sounds among all the languages that are available, or possible as a human speech sound, which sounds am I going to be using in my entire life? Which sounds are the most important for me? And then they are going to start learning it. The first 6 months actually is capable of learning, acquiring any sounds. But after the 6 months, it starts screening. I don't need these sounds, right? These are the sounds I hear the most from the language that I hear from my family. Right? So then, about 12 months, ability to distinguish what's important, what's not so important, diminishes. That's one other reason why it is more challenging for adults to acquire sounds. And so thinking of that, referring to studies like that, infant's time, you are singing lullabies in your language, you get to, the babies get to hear the sounds of the language and add that to the statistics that they're taking in their brain. So that's the impact I talk about infants. The second one is older siblings, right? So I want to talk about 2 types of siblings, because now siblings, they can talk, they understand adults. But depends on the home, the siblings might not speak the language, might speak the language. If they speak the language, what they were getting is a discipline, right? Because they understand a word like this, right? Coyote run over here, this one does not sleep. You buy it, although the singer might be talking to the baby, singing it to the baby, can sort of hear like, oh, I better go to sleep. So that's another thing. But if the siblings do not speak, but still they will be getting input, right, to learn the language. What the sounds, language experience. What about for singers themselves? Okay. Now focusing on learners rather than the native speakers, because today most of them do not have the lullabies, right, or their language as a first language speakers. But now more communities have young and motivated language teachers who are second language learners, and adult learners too, right? So if they can use songs, including lullabies, it'll help them in learning the language as well. Song helps retaining lyrics or words when those are sung with tunes, like rhythm and melody, right? And as a matter of fact, use of songs in language learning is very common throughout the world. It's common in foreign language instruction, not just in this country, but in different countries, so they do use songs. Including traditional songs and new songs, make a song to remember all the grammatical words too, and so because it helps us to retain the information. Okay, it's known to be an effective tool. That's why it's been popular. Now, if it also once you learn it, you can keep practicing it on your own. Now I want to step a little further and talk about relationship between language and song. So why is it so important and helpful to use song, right? Sometimes I want to talk about native speakers of English, for example, learning different language like Blackfoot. That the rhythm and the melody of the languages are very different. And melody, oh, it's already 25, so I should stop. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you have 5 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I can just listen. So it's just one minute, okay then? Yeah. Okay, so that means you'll be pronouncing words with English rhythm, right? Because you don't know that. So I wanted to talk about something like if you don't know words and the Blackfoot, you will be sounding like English speakers, but as a matter of fact, this is the correlation between the song and this is the movement of the words of the pitch. PC, middle, high, and low, and this is monoga, it's flat. And it's the same way, it's sung in the same way in songs too. In other words, melody of the words retained in the song. So that's how you can also study the melody of the words. But if you want to stick with the traditional songs, like children's songs, if you go to pop songs, it's going to mess up with the melody. Okay. And okay, it's a summary now. It will contribute to lullaby documentation, preservation of the language and culture, offers tool for language revitalization, language pedagogy, for example, especially, and sustaining memory of words with intonation. Could do that, and it provides significant information for the discipline of linguistics as well. Okay, I'm going to stop it here. Thank you.
Questions?
Great.
I feel like a
Dr.
student.
Campbell?
Just an observation. Several of your lullabies emphasize westward. In terms of language and culture, do you see any importance in a lullaby being oriented toward westward as opposed to eastward?
I have no answer to that. I'm not an anthropologist and I don't have a background in theory, though the west is a mountain in Blackfoot.
It's also where sunset happens. It's also where sunset happens.
Oh, yes. I love
Yeah,
that.
when they sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. My second question is very simple.
Okay.
I'm somewhat familiar with Nettle's work. Did any of these lullabies correspond with any of his that were published?
No, I
They're
did
very
not.
different?
I did not really go through his work, but what I was looking for words, but all the transcription has been written in his other people's, not just his. I could not understand. It was not.
I was just curious.
Yeah, it was not really. But I did. Other speakers who came to interviews did not do the lullabies, but gave a song, like song in English, like 49 songs, for example, like love songs, courtship songs, and Neto had one. The same song, but the lyrics is a little different. There's a song about like you're gonna take you away in my old gray mare versus one I forward or something like that. So it reflects the generations of that time. Yeah.
Thank you.
In my experience, which I've had a lot, learning songs, as you say, is very easy because of the melody and the rhythm and all. But what I've discovered in a lot of communities, because of that ease of teaching songs, they teach songs, but the learner doesn't have any idea what they mean. So if we're talking about language revitalization, that component is missing when people are learning the songs, and because they're not in a viable community where the language is healthy, they don't have any cues to actually help them. It's just in the classroom. They go out singing the song. And I had a similar situation in a preschool where a little girl went home and I translated, "Oh, where has my little dog gone?" And the little girl went home and was singing this song. She didn't necessarily know what the words were, but I had one word in there at the end, "Kakone Sano." I wish you would come home. And her grandfather came in angry, saying my granddaughter was singing a song because of that one word, which he said is only used in prayer, which isn't true, but it was only used in prayer, and it's not true. It's a word you say to the Creator. And so you have these weird kind of things that happen. But the primary thing is a lot of times the learner doesn't know what they're saying.
Right, yeah. So it's a really good point that you're making. As I said, it's easy to learn, but also teachers have to realize, what could happen, what could be missed.
Yeah.
Right? And also, I'm not really saying that this should be the only tool. It's an additional tool for helping, maybe to encourage them to do that too.
Yeah.
And also, I want to mention about the sign too. Some people do use sign language too. But sometimes then they just use a sign, rely on signs, not really hearing the words. So it's hard to learn it. The learning might not be happening. So when you have something that's relying on, in addition to language, if you rely on the other means too much, language learning doesn't happen. So it's something that we should be,
Well, one Taylor thing, and Greg will remember this because he was in the room. My daughter did her master's degree where she translated 16 songs into Arapaho, children's songs into Arapaho. But when it came open for questions, I asked her in Arapaho, I don't know if you remember this, Greg, why she didn't share the song that she composed when she was 3 years old. And she composed the song. I had taken her to an elder who was dying. And when we left, we were on the reservation, and she sat down at her little table, and she started singing this song. And it was to the melody of "It's Raining, It's Raining." Hanasa, Hanasa, and now I'm trying to remember the song. But basically what it translated out to, I asked her, "Where'd you learn that song?" She said, "Oh, it just popped in my head." And that's a difference between when you learn a song and you don't have the language. And the song was, "It's raining, that old man is sleeping. He went to bed, he hurt himself, and he won't get up in the morning." And she didn't include that in her thing. Do you remember that, Greg? No, vaguely. You're
It's
right.
been a while.
You were there.
2018.
Yeah, I know. So that's a big difference. When the language, when you have the foundation of the language, then it works much differently than just memorizing the melody and the tune without understanding necessarily what's connected to it.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, thank you. I see that I've noticed that all these songs, lullabies, they are about animals, right? And does it mean that human nature relations is important? So, I mean, indigenous human and nature relations are close enough to sing about animals.
I cannot speak for the tribal groups, but I would like to believe so. Yeah, and also I've read about Hopi lullaby is also usually animals are the ones that are being sung about. Yeah, I don't know if you know anything about nature.
I think that's a
Yeah, you find it common in a lot of different
Yeah.
cultures, indigenous cultures. Hopi, Navajo, yeah, same.
My only comment when I was listening to you speak, this Professor Graymorgan's comment, it seems to me the power of these lullabies that you're recording are, in the spectrum that you gave, that sound formation is the most important, and that's where the revitalization effort should be focused in on those two birth to before word formation takes place. That's I think where this could be targeted or focused, whatever term you want to use, because that's the important
Yeah.
Arena whereby it could be internalized.
Yeah, my heart is raise babies in the language, so there's so many
Yeah, because as
members
Professor
want to
Gray,
learn too, so I want to encourage them.
yeah, as his example was given, I conjured up the image in my mind of somebody 5 to 7 years old after that critical era is already over. So basically what she was doing is just operating on a rote memory.
Yeah.
That's a very different phenomenon than actually
Yeah.
sound formation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you operate on rote memory, you sometimes get transference of sounds.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the comments. Yes, I will take notes.
We're going to get our next speaker and some bad news, but good news. This university, even though I asked them about this yesterday, I learned just when David walked in that at basically 3:30, power across the entire university is being cut. Now, we have people that still have to speak. So fortunately, my son has a cafe a block off campus, and I called them because I always have backups, and we can move over to the cafe so that there's two speakers that'll be left after the break, 2 o'clock. So at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, I guess, after Annapurna Handy, after she gives her talk, she should finish around 3, and then we can move over to the cafe so that we can pick up the last 2 speakers. And it's blocked off, and so we're going to get to that. And I'll probably see about, so I'll bring in my 2 laptops. Fortunately, I brought in 2, and we'll be able to see both people sitting in the room and the person giving the talk. And whoever happens to be in the cafe will get a free conference.
Wow.
Okay, let's see if we can get Anna here.